Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am doing this broadcast to communicate directly to the United States Congress, members of the United States Senate, United States House Armed Services Committee, both Democrat and Republican, to communicate to the President of the United States, to communicate to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of the Navy. I'm going to give this about 2 or 3 minutes in between right now and when I actually begin. So in 2 minutes, I'm going to start. Today I will be going briefly over some things that took place today, as well as some things that took place over the past 72 hours in regards to exercising my right to initiate a request Mast through my immediate commanding officer up to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. In accordance with Marine Corps Order 1700, I believe it is 1700.23 Golf, signed and effective on June 21st, 2019. So we're going to give it one more minute. Right now I am on Central Daylight Time, and I'm going to start at 8:05 p.m. Let's see. Okay. If you could, please share this broadcast either during this live or after, so that we can reach the appropriate offices that governs the armed forces of the United States of America. Again, this broadcast is intended to communicate directly with members of the United States Congress. Unfortunately, I am unable to do so, which I will explain starting now. Again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Staff Sergeant Nicholas Smith. I am an active duty member serving in the United States Marine Corps with service a little bit over 11 years. Again, this message is intended to communicate directly with every member of the United States Congress, the United States Senate, the House Armed Services Committee, both the Republicans and the Democrats, to communicate directly with the Commandant of the Marine Corps, the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, also with the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of the Navy. I, as an active duty member of the United States Marine Corps, on January 1st, 2024, at 15:26, which is 3:26 p.m. Central Daylight Time, I notified my commanding officer, which is Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, my senior enlisted advisor, which is Master Gunnery Sergeant Shookhart, and in that text group was also First Sergeant Flores. I contacted them via text message, notifying them that I am seeking and intending and am executing my request Mast process. My request Mast process was and did have an intentional delay on it by Lieutenant Colonel Martinez and Master Gunnery Sergeant Shookhart. In some of the posts that I made within the past 72 hours, which you all may read via text messages, as well as to include a phone call that was conducted from Lieutenant Colonel Martinez to me. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez told me and asked me, "Hey, Staff Sergeant Smith, can you hold off until Wednesday? can you hold off until Wednesday, July 3rd to conduct your request Mast? Does that work for you? I notified Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, no, sir, that does not work for me. This is an emergency, and I need to initiate my process or initiate and commence my right to exercise the request Mast. At that time, it was 15:26 or 3:26 in the evening. The senior enlisted advisor, Master Gunner Sergeant Shookhart, is in the routing process when a Marine requests Mast within the command, and he lives 10 minutes away. The command did not notify me by email or by text message before I notified them that I was going to request Mast. They did not notify me in any way, shape, or form that personnel would not be in the office to conduct business or to conduct official business. On a typical day, separate from that, business hours are usually from 0800 until 1630. And so instead of, I can't say that. However, I started my process to request Mast. The commanding officer asked me if I could wait if I could not conduct it on July 1st, but wanted me to come in on July 3rd, which is today, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, to conduct my request Mast. And it's important that you all go back and review the text messages as it trickled down. And then Lieutenant Colonel Martinez told me that he's going to make some phone calls and then call me back. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez called me back and told me that he would see me Tuesday, which was yesterday, July 2nd, at 0900 or 9 o'clock a.m. Central Daylight Time. Unfortunately, I had a medical appointment at that time. I had a medical appointment during that time. And so when I concluded with my appointment, I went into the office and I had that presence with my immediate commanding officer. I took this envelope inside that says to be opened by the Commandant of the Marine Corps only, dated July 1st, 2024. There was a number of things that was discussed during that, and I'm actually going to read off of a couple of notes. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez already notified me that any of my requests to record, either it's visual recording or audio recording, would be denied. So I did not request at that time because he had already told me in person before that such requests will be denied. Let's see here. So Lieutenant Colonel Martinez asked me, who did I want to request Mast to? I notified Lieutenant Colonel Martinez that I sought to request Mast to the Commandant of the Marine Corps through official channels, which I understand it has to go through official channels, and that the subject or nature of the request Mast complaint, I did not choose to disclose that. So the meeting consisted of myself, Master Gunner Sergeant Shookhart, Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, and the base police were present, which helped me feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more safer, knowing that there, is a third party there. While I was there, First Sergeant Flores was in the office, and at a certain point, he opened his door and spoke to me, and I was hesitant to speak to him. However, he spoke to me, so I spoke to him. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez then asked me, hey, Staff Sergeant Smith, we understand that you would like to request Mast, and if you would like to continue this process, you can give it to us, and we will submit that. I asked Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, sir, would you mind explaining how you all would submit it? And Lieutenant Colonel Martinez said that, so what we'll do is we'll have a Marine, which is one of the student personnel, take my request Mast package, which is this package, and drive it to Marine Aviation Training Support Group 21, or MATIC 21, because as you've seen, it says to be opened by the Commandant only. So I notified Lieutenant Colonel Martinez that I wanted to deliver this request Mast in person to the Commandant through official channels. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez told me that, what do you say? Give me a second. Let me refer to my notes. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez then started to, try to re-emphasize that they would deliver it, meaning the command, Marine Corps Detachment, Naval School EOD, that they would deliver it. And so Lieutenant Colonel Martinez then it didn't end the meeting. However, he went into his office, closed the door for about 15-20 minutes as he made some phone calls to the legal officer over at Marine Aviation Training Support Group 21, and possibly some legal representatives from Training Command, which is based out of Quantico, Virginia. After a few minutes, Lieutenant Colonel Martinez came back and notified me that, yes, I can deliver it to Marine Aviation Training Support Group 21 in Pensacola, Florida. I could do that in person, and that they had arranged and scheduled for me to meet with the commanding officer of Marine Aviation Training Support Group 21 on today, Wednesday, July 3rd at 1500 or 3 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon, Central Daylight Time. I asked Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, what is the holiday Liberty schedule like for Marine Aviation Training Support Group 21, also known as MATSIG 21. And I asked Lieutenant Colonel Martinez if MATSIG 21 was in the office yesterday while I was conducting my request Mast process with Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, and whether or not MATSIG 21 would be in the office yesterday, July 2nd, 2024. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez told me that MATSIG 21 was in the office on July 2nd, and they would be in the office today. So I was given a page out of Marine Corps Order 1700.23 Golf, effective or signed into effect June 21st, 2019. And this is the same reference that I'm going off of as well. And on page 2 Tech 1, there is a highlight from the legal officer at MATSIG 21, which is Major Kirk. Major Kirk printed this off and gave this to me yesterday. But before I get into what's highlighted, I notified my immediate commanding officer that I intended to exercise my right to request Mast. I notified them at 15:26 or 3:26 p.m. Central Daylight Time on July 1st. I met with my unit, which is Lieutenant Colonel Martinez. I met with Lieutenant Colonel Martinez at 1100 or 11 o'clock a.m. Central Daylight Time on July 2nd. During that process, when I was with Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, he confirmed that Marine Aviation Training Support Group was in the office yesterday as we were conducting my request Mast process at the immediate commanding officer level, and that Marine Aviation Training Support Group 21 would be in the office today, July 3rd, 2024. So, I know that every commander that's in the reporting chain has no more than 24 hours or no more than one working day at any level of command, and the request Mast will be heard at the earliest time. So essentially what that's saying is from the moment I notify my command that I want to request Mast, the clock starts. and my command has 24 hours to process my request mask, as well as the NAVMIC, or Navy and Marine Corps form, also known as NAVMIC. So they have the time to process my complaint and process the form, NAVMIC 11296, within 24 hours of being notified. They have to deliver my request mask or forward my request mask from their level to the next echelon of command, which is, for me, there is my immediate commander, and then there's the next command, which is in Pensacola, Florida, which is Mast 21. So from 1526 on July 1st until 1526 on July 2nd, that gives my immediate commander one full working day to hear my complaint and process the NAVMIC form. Okay, which means that the time for Mast 21 should start at 1526 on July 2nd up until 1526 on July 3rd. So because I had already been granted the permission to deliver my package in person, and Mast 21 was in the office yesterday, once I ended the once my request mask process was completed with my immediate commander, which is Lieutenant Colonel Martinez. Before I left, I asked Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, because I'm conducting official business, to travel by distance. It was 80 miles where I traveled from my place of work, which they had me come into the office to request mask. It was 81.9 miles, which I logged it and tracked it from my duty station up to Mast 21. So we went there yesterday to personally deliver my package. And there was multiple, people. There was Sergeant Major Alvarez, there was Major Kirk, there was the new executive officer or incoming executive officer, which I don't know. I can't remember how to pronounce or spell his name. So, sir, I do apologize. And so, unfortunately, I was unable to see Colonel Brunk yesterday. So they directed me to come back today, July 3rd at 1500. Now, once I entered and was able to be seen by the legal officer, and the Sergeant Major Alvarez was in the office, as well as the new executive officer or incoming executive officer. And when I went there, today, Major Kirk, which is the legal officer, he directed me, there were two documents that was on a little conference table. One of those documents is the request mask order, which you all can see here, as I've referenced before, Marine Corps Order 1700.23 Gulf, signed into effect June 21st, 2019. So I can't go page by page, but they had already pre-highlighted a lot of information in here that they wanted me to pay attention to. And there was also this form. This is one page and the first page of the request mask application, which what I've referenced before is the NAVMIC 11296. And, they provided me the opportunity to fill this out so that they could forward it. I declined to do so because I had already filled this form out, and it's enclosed in that big yellow envelope that says to be opened by the Commandant of the Marine Corps only. So I respectfully declined to fill that out. I then asked Major Kirk, did Mardet, Eglin Air Force Base, submit their version of the completed of their portion of the NAVMIC 11296, which is the request mask application? Major Kirk said yes. Mardet, Eglin Air Force Base did submit it. I asked Major Kirk if he would not mind providing that to me. So he printed it out and gave it to me. And I read it. And my first question was, it was improperly completed. And what I mean by improperly completed is that in the Marine Corps order, it talks about what happens when, or what should happen when a request mast has been delayed. It doesn't talk about any delay. It doesn't talk about intentional delay. It doesn't talk about unintentional. It just talks about a delay. So I'm going to reference the Marine Corps order real quick when it talks about when what should happen when there is a delay in the request mast process. So give me a few seconds. Let me find it. So I'm looking at page 2, Tech 1 of the Marine Corps Order for Request Mast, paragraph 3. And it says that each intermediate commander up to the commander with whom the Marine desires an audience will offer to resolve the Marine's request mast, but must do so without intimidation. In general, there should be no more than 1 working day delay at any level of command, and the request mast will be heard at the earliest reasonable time. Explanations for delay shall be provided in writing on the NAVMIC 11296 and acknowledged by the commander and the Marine. So with the intentional delay, which I notified Colonel Bronk, I notified Sergeant Major Alvarez, I notified to the present executive officer, and I notified the incoming executive officer, and I notified there's Sergeant Major Alvarez, Major Kirk, which is the legal officer, both executive officers, both incoming and outgoing, and I notified Colonel Brunk that there was a delay, intentional delay in the process. And Major Kirk, Sergeant Major Alvarez, Lieutenant Colonel Ratiki, which is the current executive officer, and I notified the incoming executive officer that there was an intentional delay and that it needed to be annotated on the form. Unfortunately, I cannot show you all that form because I refused to take it because it was incorrectly completed. As I notified them of a delay, they refused to return the form back to Mardet Eglin Air Force Base for it to be corrected because there is a delay. And I'm trying to tell them that there was no delay, but they just continued to say, it's up for interpretation. And, that's just how, what I believe is that I believe, like Staff Sergeant Smith believes that there's a delay, but MATIC 21 doesn't believe there is a delay. And Mardet Eglin Air Force Base does not believe there was a delay, even though I'm telling them there was a delay. Unfortunately, Lieutenant Colonel Martinez called me asking me to wait until Wednesday, July 3rd to begin and start my request mask process. And I respectfully declined that. Had I not known my rights and had I listened to Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, I would not have started my process. Thus, that is an interference. And unfortunately, MATIC 21 and Mardet Eglin Air Force Base are all on the same page, and I'm just the elephant in the room. So I will continue. So Major Kirk provided me with the form. I read it. I notified him that it's incorrect. And we went on this 15, 20 minute stalemate of me trying to, there's a delay. I need it corrected. And they said no. So I asked Major Kirk, what time did Mardet Eglin Air Force Base submit my NAVMIC 11296 to you all? Major Kirk notified me that that the Marine Detachment, Eglin Air Force Base, submitted the NAVMIC 11296 to them at 12:24 p.m. Central Daylight Time on today, July 3rd, 2024. So we can already see members of Congress, members of the United States Senate, House Armed Services Committee, both Republican and Democrat, Commandant of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Navy. We can already see that the Marine himself is moving forward through the process, but the paperwork is not following. Now, the Marine Corps order does not specify what happens when there is a lag in processing of the paperwork and when there, like, I don't know, when like the process, you know, I don't know, the process can't go forward if the Marine and the paperwork aren't going together. Now, some might say, well, Staff Sergeant Smith, you have your entire package in a sealed envelope that says to be opened by the Commandant of the Marine Corps only. How are we supposed to forward your application when your packages, when your request mass application is in the envelope? That's what Matic 21 said. And I notified them that, well, sir, y'all don't need my package, my application inside of the package. Page 1 of the request mass application is just information completed by the Marine. The command starts their endorsements on the second page. I don't need to open up my package for y'all to complete it. And to mention, as I stated before, they're going to try to give me the opportunity to fill out another one today. For what? Was I just not here yesterday and talking to Major Kirk and Sergeant Major Alvarez and the incoming executive officer that it's pretty simple? I want to request mass to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, and I would like to do so in person. So, and I'm not frustrated right now. I'm not intense or anything like that. I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm collective, trying to make sure that I capture as much information as I can to present to members of the United States Congress, because as we can see, and as I would get to later, my request mass application has been denied, and we'll get to that. So there's an intentional delay. They refuse to acknowledge that on the form. And then, you know, here we are today. And so Major Kirk provided me with the NAVMIC form, and then Major Kirk said, so before Major Kirk provided me with the completed version from Mardet Eglin Air Force Base, I asked them, sir, did Mardet Eglin Air Force Base submit the form? Major Kirk said yes. I asked Major Kirk, what time did they send it? Major Kirk said, well, first we had a few phone calls in between, and then they sent over like the initial version, but the final version is what we're giving you today. And so I asked Major Kirk, okay, sir, what time or when did Mardet Eglin Air Force Base originally submit their first completed version of the request mass application, NAVMIC 11296? Major Kirk looked at me and said, I don't know. I can't recall. Okay. I appreciate it, sir. And then I asked Major Kirk immediately following, how did Mardet Eglin Air Force Base submit the original version of their completed NAVMIC 11296? Major Kirk said, via email. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. What time did they send the email? And this is not to put my personal opinion in anything. Everything that I'm saying is a matter of fact as annotated by my notes and as evidenced by this video, this broadcast. So if Major Kirk just told me that, oh, he can't recall what time Mardet Eglin Air Force Base submitted their original version of their portion completed on the request Mast form, and then I follow up and ask him how did they send it, he said via email. Doesn't an email have a timestamp? So Major Kirk just lied to me. You knew what time Mardet Eglin Air Force Base initially submitted it, but you told me you didn't remember. Hey, no harm, no foul. So we continue on with the process, and the incoming executive officer then, asked to speak with me, and still in the office, and he let me know that he's new coming into this whole situation, or this whole request Mast as it applies to me, and he was trying to emphasize that he himself did not see any instance of any kind of delay in my ability to conduct my request Mast. And I'm not arguing with nobody. I mean, the facts are the facts, and the fact is that Lieutenant Colonel Martinez tried to intentionally delay my request Mast process by having me wait from July 1st up until July 3rd. That he called me and told me via phone. So, where are we today? So, yesterday, Major Kirk, or Matic 21, notified me that the command, them and Training Command, and Mardet Eglin Air Force Base. So, Mardet Eglin Air Force Base, Matic 21, Training Command, they will not fund in any way, shape, or form my travel to conduct this request Mast application through appropriate channels to personally deliver my request Mast application up to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. And I made sure that it was clear that even before I sat down with Colonel Brunk, I made sure, and I asked Major Kirk, Sergeant Major Alvarez, and the incoming executive officer, so are you all saying that the unit will not fund this travel? Even though I had not even been afforded the opportunity to present who I wanted to request Mast to, what I wanted to request Mast about, even though I had not sat in person with the Commanding General of Training Command. The Commanding General of Training Command, which is no longer Brigadier General Sullivan. Right now, it is Brigadier General Henderson. And I had not been provided the opportunity to present it to them in person. So, right now, I went into Colonel Brunk's office at 16:24 today, July 3rd, 2024. The request Mast process is supposed to take one business day at every echelon. So from 1526, July 1st, up until 1526, July 2nd, was Mardet Eglin Air Force Base's opportunity to complete the NAVMIC form and forward my request to the next higher chain of command, which is Matic 21. And then from 1526 on July 2nd, 2024, up until 1526 on July 3rd, 2024, it's supposed to be Matic 21's timeline, which is that one working business day. However, one working business day to, if I may, to be heard at the earliest reasonable time. So it's late again. Not only is the form still wrong, but the time that I was afforded the opportunity to the time that I sat down with the commanding officer at Matic 21 was about an hour later. So that delay, which is I guess now delay number 1 or 2, should also be annotated in the form when Matic 21 completes their version. And so once I went into Colonel Brunk's office, it was a pretty long meeting. And once in there, I requested if they could, I am forgetting something. Yesterday, Lieutenant Colonel Martinez did provide me with the contact information for Mr. Blake. I can't remember his first name, but Mr. Blake is the Command Inspector General at the training command level. And so Mr. Blake was on the phone. And so one of the first things that we addressed was my ability to communicate grievances to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, in which the entire room, not to include myself, have a little bit different interpretations of the Marine Corps order. Now, Matic 21 and Training Command tried to convince me that on the request mask form, block 5A, this is the section that says I, the applicant, request masked with, and then parentheses, the commander with whom you desire to communicate. And so if I desire to communicate with the Commandant of the Marine Corps, if I desire to communicate with the actual Inspector General of the Marine Corps, that is who I would list in Section 5, or specifically Block 5A. Now, Training Command and Matic 21 is trying to tell me that I need to put Brigadier General Henderson's name in this box because he is my immediate commanding general. And they told me I cannot request mask to any other commanding general. I cannot request mask to any commanding general except my immediate commanding general, which is Brigadier General Henderson now. And I told them multiple times that you're wrong. Everybody in the room, I looked them in their eye and I told them that they're wrong. Because, yes, I understand that Brigadier General Henderson is my immediate commanding officer. But I don't need to put his name here because he is not who I am requesting mask to or with. I'm not communicating my grievance with him because I know, and by the order, that Brigadier General Henderson, the nature of my request mask is out of the ballpark for Brigadier General Henderson. He has no influence over it. He has no jurisdiction over what the nature of it is about. And not to mention, I've already tried to everything except request mask. I have tried. And so if I put Brigadier General Henderson's name in there, I know that the process is going to stop with Brigadier General Henderson. And so back to the order, we're looking at the Marine Corps request mask procedures, paragraph 3 in regards to the mission. To preserve the right of every Marine, I'm a Marine, to seek assistance from or communicate grievances directly to their commander or commanders up to and including a commanding general. It does not say your immediate commanding general. It does not say the commanding general. It says commanders, plural, up to and including a commanding general within the chain of command at the same base or immediate geographical location. Okay, well, let's see. I have a lot of commanding generals in my chain of command. There's the commanding general of training command, which is Brigadier General Henderson. There's the commanding general of training and education command. There's a commanding general after that commanding general. And I believe the commandant of the Marine Corps is a general. He is commanding the Marine Corps. So if we put 2 and 2 together, commanding, he's commanding, general, he's a general. Okay, so I went to Appendix B, which talks about the definitions. And paragraph 3 says commanding general. The term commanding general is defined as the commander exercising general court-martial convening authority over the Marine. The immediate commanding general is normally the first general officer in the chain of command that exercises general court-martial convening authority over the Marine, though there are exceptions to this rule. Where the general court-martial convening authority is not a Marine officer, the separation or show cause of authority for immediate separations will be the immediate commanding general for request mass purposes. Commanding general is interchangeable with commanders and deputy commanders that are general officers, such as commanders and deputy commanders of component commands. So I verified with everybody that was in the request, that everybody that was in the office. Sergeant Major Alvarez, Major Kirk, Lieutenant Colonel Raitiki, the incoming new executive officer, Colonel Brunk, and the Command Inspector General at Training Command. Is there any other way for a Marine or a sailor or anybody on board a Marine Corps installation, is there any way a Marine can communicate a grievance to the Commandant of the Marine Corps when the nature of the complaint is out of the jurisdiction of one of the commanding generals that's in my chain of command? Right now I am trying to find, here we go. Because the nature of this is out of the realm or jurisdiction of all of my commanding generals, thus the Commandant of the Marine Corps. So page 3 of the order says, when matters are beyond a commander's authority to resolve, the commander shall forward the request masked to the next higher commander for consideration and appropriate. I notified everybody in the room. Gentlemen, respectfully, I know that y'all don't, if you trust anyone, please trust me now. I'm telling you all that the nature of my request masked extends far above Brigadier General Henderson, the commanding general of Training and Education Command, and whoever else is in the process, and it extends above the Inspector General of the Marine Corps. And if I already know that Brigadier General Henderson is not going to be able to resolve it, I know that Brigadier General Henderson is in the chain of command when requesting Mast. So, even though we already knew who I want to request Mast to, and even though I'm not disclosing the nature of the subject, I know that Brigadier General Henderson doesn't have the authority to resolve it. So the order also states that the commanders should provide the Marine or the person requesting Mast, they should provide the Marine the opportunity to appear in person. Hey, I might disclose it to Brigadier General Henderson. My mind might change tomorrow. However, I know that I'm not disclosing it to Matic 21, and I'm not disclosing it over the phone to the Command Inspector General, which is not Brigadier General Henderson, with respect that Mr. Blake was on the phone. Page 2 of the order states that commanders shall provide Marines the opportunity to request Mast in person unless extraordinary circumstances preclude such an appearance. Requesting Mast is, how do you say it? It's an official process. This is a way for a Marine this is a right of every Marine to seek assistance from or communicate grievances. So the other topic was, because I want to deliver this in person, which I notified Mardet Eglin Air Force Base, I notified Matic 21, and I notified Training Command by way of Mr. Blake, which is the Command Inspector General at Training Command. I notified them that I would like to deliver my request Mast to person up to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, however, through official channels, which in this case, the next step would be delivering it in person to Brigadier General Henderson, which is based out of Training Command, Quantico, Virginia. If the order says provide Marines the opportunity to request Mast in person unless extraordinary circumstances preclude such an appearance, I did not receive, and I asked today when I was just in the office, particularly with Major Kirk, Sergeant Major Alvarez, and the incoming executive officer. Is there a reason why I cannot go and deliver this to the commanding general, Brigadier General Henderson, in person as part of the formalities of the process? And they said, oh, yeah, well, you can go deliver it in person, but the government's not paying for it. You're going to have to take your leave days to... You're going to have to take your leave days, and you're going to have to incur the cost and all expenses to travel to Virginia. Oh, by the way, if the request Mast application that you have inside of the envelope is wrong, well, Training Command is going to deny your request Mast and send you back because it's completed incorrectly. And we had this conversation yesterday, and we had it again today on 3 separate occasions, one being yesterday, twice being today. And I'm still trying to, it's probably not for me to comprehend. Members of Congress, it's probably not for me to comprehend. However, if it says in the Marine Corps order to provide Marines the opportunity to request Mast in person unless extraordinary circumstances preclude such an appearance, an opportunity in person. So what happens if a Marine is requesting Mast to any commanding general and the Marine don't got no money? The Marine might not have transportation. The Marine probably has a donut tire on their car. The Marine's probably drowning in child support debt. The Marine probably doesn't know what he's going to do with his family because he's been tossed around for the past 6-7 months about forced relocation. Now, that would probably be, counted as extraordinary circumstances. we can't send the Marine because he has some financial problems. Well, shouldn't the commanders go out of their way? Shouldn't the commander exercise good judgment? Shouldn't the commander exercise all the authority that they got? We're talking about 06. We're talking about 06 level command. We're talking about an 05 level command, being Mardet Eglin Air Force Base, 05, Mast 21, 06 level. Shouldn't they exhaust all means necessary to ensure that the Marine is provided the opportunity to request Mast in person? Extraordinary circumstances, that could be up in the air. It could mean the Marine's in the hospital and they can't go. But there's nothing saying here that it cannot be government funded. You have a Marine that has a legitimate complaint, so much of a legitimate complaint that the Marine is unwilling to disclose it to anyone in the chain of command, because he's already disclosed to you all what happened the first time he submitted a statement or submitted some kind of testimony or some kind of package. The Marine told you all on multiple occasions, not just within the past 72 hours. The Marine has told you all, and I'm sure you've heard it from the Inspector General of the Marine Corps. I'm sure you've heard it from the Staff Judge Advocate to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. I'm sure you've heard it from probably the Victims Council, Victims Legal Counsel Organization of the Marine Corps. I'm sure you've probably heard it from someone else in your chain of command that the Marine delivered a statement in the past, and this is what happened to it. So they know why I don't trust the process already. But they want me to disclose to them what I'm trying to talk to the Commandant about. For the record, this is how I know that they're lying. This is how I know Mardet Eglin Air Force Base, Mast 21, Training Command, and anyone else, not including the Commandant and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, not including the Secretary of Defense, not including the Secretary of the Navy. This is how they know they're lying. Because everybody, to include Mast 21 and Mardet Eglin Air Force Base, I don't know what he wants to request Mast about. You want to request Mast, but you're not disclosing it to anybody. So y'all just gonna sit here and keep lying to me? You're gonna sit here and act like Brigadier General Sullivan, Brigadier General Sullivan at the time initiated a preliminary inquiry into a complaint that a Marine made, and y'all still don't know why the Marine wants to request Mast? Either somebody in the chain of command is not talking, or everybody in the chain of command is talking, therefore all of you are on the same page. And I would take that second one. All of y'all already know. You don't have to lie to me. You might not have to say it, but I know that you know. And I know there's official correspondence in your emails that I pray that Congress subpoenas to show that y'all have been lying to the Marine and you've been stovepiping the process. I confirmed with the entire room, to include Mr. Blake, that there is no other way a Marine or sailor, if they're attached to a Marine unit, there is no way that a Marine can communicate a grievance to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. But there is a request Mast process to communicate grievances up to the Inspector General of the Marine Corps. There's a process for that. So why does the Marine Corps not include the Commandant of the Marine Corps in this? If the nature of the subject extends far beyond the authority of any commander in the chain of command, which I told them, I'm not here to waste anyone's time. I'm not here to waste anybody's time. But I'm telling you, I'm confident that the Commandant already knows. I'm confident that the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps already knows. But I still want to give them the opportunity. I've been giving them the opportunity to for the past 6 years. I've been doing it. I've been doing it. And I'm trying to. There is no other way for a Marine to communicate grievances to the general that's commanding the Marine Corps. Colonel Brunk. Well, I tell you what, I'll start from the top. Mr. Blake, Colonel Brunk, Sergeant Major Alvarez, Major Kirk, and the incoming executive officer to Mast 21 was like, well, the Commandant is not a commanding general. He's not commanding anything. And I'm like, wow. So General Smith, which is the Commandant of the Marine Corps, he is a general. He is commanding the Marine Corps. I don't get it. I understand that they're trying to protect the organization. They're trying to protect something. And I don't know what that is. But what I can say is that they're trying to protect the truth from getting out. And they are showing, and they have shown, that they will do at all costs to stop me from communicating to you, members of the Congress, of the United States Congress, members of the United States Senate, members of the House Armed Services Committee, both Democrat and Republicans, President Biden, the White House, the Biden administration, the Biden and Harris administration. I haven't even talked about the Department of Justice. That's separate. So a Marine has a grievance where there is no other way to communicate that to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. So why should a Marine have to go outside of the military branch that he belongs to communicate a grievance to the Commandant of the Marine Corps? And I can tell you what's going to happen, and I can tell you what has happened. In the past, the cases are closed that I'm referring to, but I can't say. The cases are closed. However, if the request Mast involves someone within the chain of command to request Mast, if it involves someone in that chain, you have to go outside of the military branch and go through a higher office. Now, that higher office will then look at your complaint, and they will, if they warrant it, depending on what's going on, they will keep it at their level. However, on those cases that are now closed, for both of those cases, they were sent back to the Inspector General of the Marine Corps. And those cases were closed. So it's like the Commandant is untouchable. No one can communicate with no individual service member can communicate to the Commandant about something bad, something wrong that has been happening in my case, for the past 6 years. Either the Commandant already knows, or the Commandant doesn't know. And that's what I'm trying to do. So the request Mast process, by the order, I can request Mast up to any commanding general within my chain of command. Nowhere in the order does it say it has to be my immediate commanding general, which is who they want me to put in box 5A. And they're telling me Colonel Brunk and Mr. Clark, Mr. Blake, and Sergeant Major Alvarez, and those individuals, respectively, are telling me that I need to put Brigadier General Henderson in there. No, I don't, because he's not the commander who I'm seeking to request Mast with. If I put Brigadier General Henderson in there, that gives Brigadier General Henderson the authority to deny the request Mast, because I already know that he doesn't have the authority to resolve the issue that I have or the concern. So when I go to Brigadier General Henderson, it's going to be the same thing. Sir, I'm requesting Mast to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, and the subject I do not wish to disclose. Okay, how it should be. The form is completed. This is, the Marine did not desire to disclose the subject. Forward it up. But they want to try to convince me that essentially I'm going to stop my own process, trying to use me against myself to stop the process, trying to waste my time. And I know. So why would I waste the time to put Brigadier General Henderson when I know that he doesn't have the authority to resolve what the actual concern is? And just like I told everyone in the room, Mr. Blake, Colonel Brunk, Sergeant Major Alvarez, Lieutenant Colonel Raitiki, the incoming executive officer, y'all are wrong. I don't need to put Brigadier General Henderson in there. And this is what their conclusion was. So this is what Mr. Blake said. So if you bring a request Mast, if you submit a request Mast to us, and you want to do so in person, first you're going to have to use your leave to bring it to me. Again, why? Y'all are not, it's an official process. Even if in the order, which I acknowledged with them and which I will acknowledge to Congress, the request Mast order does not say Marines cannot request Mast with the Commandant of the Marine Corps. It does not say that. It also does not say that I need to request Mast to my immediate commanding general. It says a commanding general within the Marines chain of command. So again, General Smith is a general, respectfully. He is commanding the United States Marine Corps, thus commanding general. He's still in my chain of command up to the President of the United States. So why does a Marine have to take leave to fund their own trip to communicate a grievance to the Commandant about something that is very, very important? And I tried to emphasize it to them, but it fell on deaf ears. And so, upon conclusion, Colonel Brunk asked me numerous times, what would you like to do? And I responded the same thing every time. Sir, I would like to continue my process to request Mast up to the Commandant of the Marine Corps through official channels, which means I will still go through Brigadier General Henderson. I will still go through Major General Imes, which is, I believe, the Commanding General of Training and Education Command, TECOM, up to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. But, their argument was, first, the request Mast order says that you need to go and request Mast to your immediate commanding general. The order does not say that. It does not. Again, Marine Corps Order 1700.23 Golf. There's no way that this Marine Corps order can be misconstrued. It cannot. And this is not about me not receiving the answer that I want. This is not about me being dissatisfied with any kind of form of resolution. It's just a Marine has a grievance. And as I told them, I'm trying they all told me that they didn't know what was going on. They all told me that we don't understand, we were blindsided by this. We didn't even know that this was happening. And we don't know what you want to request Mast about. And I said, I understand that, sir. I would hate for the same thing to happen to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. Because if the Commandant and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Secretary of Defense, SecNav, have not already heard about it, I'm trying to bring this up. And y'all are preventing me from doing that. I'm not taking leave to do a process that's already established in here. It probably don't say the Commandant of the Marine Corps, but he's still a general and he's still commanding. And the subject is above the pay grade of everybody in between. So why would they not use good judgment? Why would they not use every bit of power that is invested in them by their rank and authority to fund a trip so the Marine can go and do the right thing? If the Commandant does not hear it from me personally, which I'm sure he has already been briefed, then he will hear it from someone else. And I tried to alleviate that. What I've been told is you cannot request Mast to the Commandant. The Marine Corps will not use government funds. They won't fund in any way, shape, or form the opportunity for me to present my request Mast in person to my immediate commanding general, up to the Commandant, that I needed to take leave to do so. And the ultimatum is, if I still wish to do the process, I can take leave to conduct official business, to travel to Quantico, Virginia, to Brigadier General Henderson's command, be returned with the request Mast denied because Brigadier General Henderson is not on inbox 5A. And essentially that will kill the process. I would like to submit this request Mast in person through official channels to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. I will personally deliver this. And I'm not taking leave. There's no reason a Marine should have to take their leave days to conduct official business. Get me this, Congress. I can't say it like that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's hard for me to understand. How can the Department of the Navy, how can the United States Marine Corps utilize the Defense Travel System, or DTS, to provide senior leaders to travel on behalf of the United States government to conduct official business, to inspect, to conduct command inspections, to inspect the Request Mast program, to inspect any program? How can they fund that with government funds, but not fund a Marine or a service member who's trying to use the same process that they use, that they're coming to inspect? So we provide, the government will pay for the Inspector General of the Marine Corps and their team to travel throughout the entire, wherever a Marine base is located, within the United States or outside of the United States. The Marine Corps will fund the IGMC team, Inspector General of the Marine Corps, to go throughout and conduct inspections. Training Command will pay for Mr. Blake to go and conduct inspections at units that are under Training Command, to go and inspect their request mast process with government funds, but they won't pay for a Marine to deliver a request mast package. You get paid to inspect it, but it's probably not meant for it to make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. The Marine Corps, again, as I emphasized yesterday, the Marine Corps will send Marines to go to school to get a bachelor's degree. And the government will pay for it. The Marine Corps pays for it. The Marine Corps will send service members to compete on national shooting teams. The Marine Corps will send service members to go attend professional military education schools. The Marine Corps will send Marines to, what do you say? To go to a martial arts training, to go become an instructor for martial arts. They will send Marines to go, to legal courses, to joint PME schools. They'll send Marines to do anything and everything, but they won't fund a Marine who's trying to communicate a grievance to the Commandant of the Marine Corps that will affect the total force. I'll bring this up as well. A few years ago, President Biden directed the Department of Defense to conduct a independent review commission on sexual assault in the military. In the recommendations from the Independent Review Commission, or IRC, it talks about some things in there. And essentially, it's going to, it has to do with the request mast. Cesar Smith, am trying my best to advocate for myself and other service members. But I can only speak for myself right now. All I've gotten from the Marine Corps is no help. As I stated before, they want me to put the first commanding general in my chain of command up here. And all that does is a circle. It goes from me to my immediate commander, which is Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, to Colonel Bronk, Matic 21, to Brigadier General Henderson at Training Command. Denied, goes away. I requested to be authorized official travel to personally deliver my request mast through official channels to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. That was denied. I tried to attend a mental health symposium that I could benefit from. Other service members benefited or could benefit from it. And that was denied. A lot of other stuff was denied in regards to me generally for a while now. And it seems to be a trend. And so there can be, I don't get it. I belong to the same military branch that the Commandant of the Marine Corps belongs to. And this topic is significantly important. And the Marine Corps has not assisted in my rehabilitation at all. They have only tried to stop it while lying to me in the process. So I ask again, ladies and gentlemen, for you to share this broadcast. I can understand why most of you will choose not to. And I can't make anyone do anything. We have service members that have suffered. We have had family members of service members that have suffered because the same thing that's happening to me happened to them. I can't say that. If my brothers and sisters that are not here today, if they were here, I hope that we could be each other's backbone, that we could be each other's support. But unfortunately, the same thing that you all see that's happening to me, we have been shut down. We have been not heard. We have been isolated. We have been traumatized. We have been intimidated. We have been ran in circles after circle at every level of command. And I'm trying to get to the top of the circle, but they just keep putting me in the circle. And I don't understand why the Commandant of the Marine Corps would not want to hear it when he already knows. The Marine Corps is trying to counsel me on social media posts when I'm communicating to Congress. I've been tagging the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps in it. So how is the organization going to counsel me on something they know nothing about? But they're just going to try to counsel me. Why wouldn't the Commandant want to hear a grievance that's happening? A few years ago, General Robert B. Neller, Commandant of the Marine Corps, had to go testify during an open session of Congress on why Marines or service members were harassing and sharing nude photos of service members on a social media platform. That's where the prohibited activities and conduct order stemmed from. That's what it all came from. So if the Commandant has to go explain to Congress and explain to the world why Marines are engaging in inappropriate activity by sharing nude photos of other service members, wouldn't the Commandant want to hear about a concern that is causing service members to commit suicide? Shouldn't the Commandant of the Marine Corps, shouldn't Congress want to hear what's happening to service members that have tried to do the right thing only to be victimized by some other people in the chain? There are so many voices that are not being heard right now. My voice is one of them. And I will continue to keep my package here. And from me to you, sir, General Smith, Sergeant Major Ruiz, the Honorable Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and to the Honorable Secretary of the Navy, Carlos del Toro. I sat in the office with on the phone Mr. Blake. I sat in the office with Colonel Bronk, Lieutenant Colonel Raitiki, the incoming executive officer, Sergeant Major Alvarez. I sat with all of them, and I told them, I'm trying to protect the Commandant of the Marine Corps from being blindsided by what's about to come. I would hate for me to have to tell you all, gentlemen, that I tried. I tried. And Training Command and Mardet Eglin Air Force Base will say that they tried to assist the service member. Again, at the expense of the service member. At the expense of my finances, at the expense of stopping the process, at the expense of stopping the one and only process that exists in the Marine Corps to communicate a grievance. It's the only thing that exists in the Marine Corps to communicate a grievance. And I'm trying to use it. I tried to use it. And that it was denied. So I would hate for the Commandant to be blindsided. I would hate for the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, for the Secretary of the Navy and Secretary of Defense to be blindsided. But I tried to communicate it. And unfortunately, they misinterpreted the Marine Corps order, even though I told them I don't need to put, and I don't have to put General Henderson in Block 5A because he is not the commander or the commanding general in whom I am requesting a presence with. And I told them I would hate for y'all to get blindsided. And I don't think the Commandant will be happy. Sir, I don't think you'd be happy if I tell you, which I'm telling you now, I tried to. The NAVMIC 11296 is incorrectly completed, not by me, but by Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, by MATIC 21 and Training Command. They refused to annotate in the form of the intentional and deliberate intent to delay my process by a whole 24 hours. I took it upon myself yesterday on 2 July to personally deliver my package to MATIC 21, even though I'm being told that there was no intent to delay. Yes, there was. Sir, I'm sorry. I tried. I've been trying for the past 6 years, and I've tried within the past 72 hours. I don't even know why I'm apologizing. I shouldn't be. Because I stand 10 toes down on my entire package and what I've been trying to exercise, my right. Only to be stopped in my tracks. Yeah, I shouldn't be sorry. Mardet Eglin Air Force Base, Training Command, Training and Education Command, Inspector General of the Marine Corps, Staff Judge Advocate to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, and the Victims Legal Counsel Organization of the Marine Corps should be sorry. Because the service member has done everything that the service member could do and that the service member was taught to do. And time after time again, the only thing the Marine Corps has done was hindered my entire process, not just to communicate a grievance to you, sir, but also hindered the process of my recovery, both physical, mental, psychological. They've ruined my family already. They've ruined everything. They haven't helped me in any way, shape, or form. They will say they have, but as the service member, telling you, sir, no, they have not. They will say, oh, sir, I was in accordance with the Marine Corps order. I was only following the order. Yeah, to the extent that you wanted to follow it. You did not use proper discretion. You did not use proper judgment. All because they did not want the truth to get out. So this live has been going on for a few minutes now. And I'm done. I'm done as far as I've taken every avenue of approach that I could. Again, before I end this message, this broadcast, any messages that you all see on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page, on my TikTok page, on my YouTube page, anything that you see from me that's been shared or posted by anyone else, they're not the ones that created the content. All they did was share it. So I ask y'all, do not punish anybody that will even that's just sharing it. Okay? They didn't create the content. I did. And I'm communicating directly with Congress. And it's a protected form of communication. So please stop trying to counsel me on exercising my rights. And I'm not sorry. Everybody that I mentioned before should be the ones that's sorry. Because every one of them is going to have to explain to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, and whoever else, and to Congress, and to the Senate, and to the White House, on why they intentionally delayed my process to request Mast, and why a service member has to take their own leave to conduct official business. I thank you all for your time. I pray that you all have a happy 4th of July, celebrating Independence Day and the birth of the United States of America. So may God bless you. May God bless your families. If you have been a victim of crime, if you have, had some things happen to you, may God bless you as well. In your efforts, may they bless you, may your family be blessed. And I know that I am not the only one that is going through this. So even if you don't share this broadcast intended, for Congress, share it for someone that might need the support. If you're suffering and you need help and you don't have anyone else to talk to, I will advertise. Please call the suicide prevention line 988. They are there to help. They will listen to you. If you need local law enforcement to come out and assist you, they will do so. 988. Don't harm yourselves. Don't harm anyone. Protect yourselves and protect your family. Call 988 and talk to them. If you have a loved one or someone that you trust, get them on the phone. Allow them to help you. This is God's green earth. In every instant where you are not feeling that you are being heard, you walk by faith and not by sight. Walk by faith and not by sight. Lean not unto your own understanding, but in all thy ways, trust in the Lord. He will direct your path. He's directing our path. Spiritual support, family support. If you don't know anyone, call the local authorities. if you're scared that, the police might come, they don't know anything about you. If you're afraid of anyone using excessive force, dial 988, the suicide prevention helpline, and tell them how you're feeling. Don't be afraid to let them know how you feel. And if you need their assistance with communicating with your local law enforcement, let them know. The individuals that are on the other side of the line, they care about you. They love you. If you're serving in the military, or if you have separated from service and you have lost all of your benefits, you got a dishonorable, you got a bad conduct, you got an other than honorable discharge, the 988 helpline is open for everyone, and it's also open to you. If you don't want to report to your chain of command because you are afraid of what might happen to you, similar of things that has happened or tried to happen to me, call 988. They are independent. Only when you need help, only when you need additional resources, they are here to help you. They will help lead and guide you in the right direction to get the help that you need. If you don't feel comfortable calling or dialing 988 or your local authorities, if you don't have family or friends that you trust and you just need someone to listen, call me. Send me a message. With all of this stuff going on, I will do my best to be there for you. If you just want to vent via message, I'm not sharing it. It's confidential. The worst thing that could happen when a service member is going through this, or the worst that could happen when anyone is going through this, is not have someone to talk to. If this broadcast reaches any family members of anyone, to include a service member, who has given their life because of what has happened to them, I am sorry. If you all need help, extend to call the suicide prevention or suicide hotline of 988, or reach out to a family or friend, or reach out to me. The invite is still there. You are not the only one in your corner that is battling. There are a lot of other people battling as well, and I'm battling with you through my own and with yours. I pray that everyone has a good night. Thank you.